All right, hello, rockers, rollers, and metal maniacs. It's the Meista from Brews and Tunes. Cheers, or I should say, salute. I am chatting with the one and only Dario Parente, lead guitarist, of course, for the mighty Geoff Tate, and also guitarist of Headless, as well as many other projects. Dario, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing fine, man. Thank you. Thank you for
Awesome.
inviting me.
Yeah, I'm really excited to chat with you. This is exciting. Yeah, thank you so much. So first off, I gotta ask you about, I mean, I know you're in the I think you're taking a break right now, but you guys are in the middle of a big tour, right? With Geoff Tate?
Yes, exactly. Yes, we played 52 shows in the States, and we started at the end of February, and uh, and the last show in the USA was at the end of April. Then we flew to Scandinavia. We played
Oh,
4 shows. I'm talking about the Big Rock Show
okay.
Hits tour.
Yeah.
And then we've been busy with Geoff doing some of the trips, the backstage pass travel trips that he does with the fans. And yes, now it's I have a little bit of downtime, so I'm enjoying my family life,
Nice,
so to
nice.
speak.
But it starts back up again pretty soon, right?
Yeah, exactly. We will tour. We will be touring Europe. Uh, Starting on September. So we'll be
Okay.
busy during September, October, and November 2024. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Very cool.
So
Oh,
we are going to take the Big Rock shows hits tour in Europe, basically. Yeah.
oh, nice. Oh, very good, very good. Yeah, and so for people that aren't aware, so the Big Hits show, it's Geoff Tate doing like Queensryche stuff, and he does some of his solo stuff as well, right?
Yeah, we did some of the solo stuff at the beginning of the tour because we
Okay.
basically the Big Rock shows tour. I think when he started doing it, and I wasn't in the line, I was in the lineup, but not during the USA during 2023. So
Okay.
when he first did the Big Rock shows tour, he played some stuff off of the solo albums as well.
Oh, nice.
And now it's mainly Queensrÿche stuff. Yeah.
Cool, cool. How did you get involved with Geoff? How did that happen? How did
Yeah,
you
it's a
originally
yeah,
meet up?
it's a great story. It's a great
Nice.
story, and because the other guys in the band are younger than me. I'm 46, and so I was a super huge fan of Geoff Tate.
Nice.
Uh, he has always been. I think that Queensrÿche has been my best favorite progressive band for years and years, and have been heavily influenced by them. And so, yes, when I was a kid, I started transcribing their music. And with the other guitar player in Headless, he was very specialized in Chris DeGarmo's parts, and it was a lot into Michael Wilton. So basically, we really blossomed together as guitar players, as musicians, trying to imitate their style. But I wouldn't say imitate. We really sat down and practiced and trying to figure out all the subtleties in the arrangements, all the yes, the typical features of Queensrÿche sound, and so this has been some sort of very important thing that we did in the formative years. So I'm talking about the beginning of the 90s, and to cut the story short, our promoter with our band, because we used to have a metal band in Europe. Headless is the name of the band,
Yeah.
and he really knew that we were huge Geoff Tate fans. So Geoff once was invited. It was around 2018. He was invited to play a couple of shows in Europe, but he couldn't fly the rest of the band from the States to Europe for practical reasons. It was just 2 shows, and they have visa. So he decided, but this promoter really wanted to have Geoff in a couple of festivals. They were big open air festivals, and so he said, "He can try to give you the band." And he mentioned Headless. He said, "This is the some sort of a spaghetti version of Queensryche." And so yes, Geoff listened to a little bit of our stuff online, and then he flew from Seattle basically to rehearse with us. We had a month to prepare the whole Minecraft set, plus the anchor. And so when he arrived, he was a little bit, terrified, like, who the fuck are those guys? But then we rehearsed, and he started to smile. He was really happy with the final results, and basically we became friends straight away. And then me and Walter, the other guitar player, we joined his band, but he already had a band. So basically the first years, and I'm talking about 2018, 2019, 2020, we mainly played Europe with him. And then we started to, when basically he, when he did the big change in the band in 2023, I've been offered the main positions, the main position as one of the main guitar players. I mean, so yeah.
Right. Nice. Very cool. Yeah, that's great. That's amazing. That's really cool that.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It's a great story because he's been very influential to me. Because the other guys are younger, so of course they were aware of Queensrÿche material, especially the hits, but they didn't grow up with his music. To me, it was totally different. I was like, like a. Do you know the Beatlemania with women pulling their hair? I was like that for Geoff. So I'm still like that. No, now we're friends, so it's kind of a strange thing, but it's yes, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's great for me. Now we're friends, and we are very close, and it's great. It's still I have to pinch myself every time I'm on stage with him, or I stay in his house if I fly to Seattle. We need to work on some different projects, and still to this day I need to do like this.
I was just about to ask you. If you pinch yourself when you're on stage, like, wow, I'm playing with Geoff Tate. Like, and you really, I mean, there's some great live footage out there, on YouTube of you playing with Geoff, and I mean, you really capture the magic of those songs, I think, in a really fantastic way. Your guitar,
thank you.
Your guitar tone is beautiful. It's like you really nail it. I mean, I think if I closed my eyes and listened to it, I would think it was old Queensrÿche. I mean, you really capture those guitar solos like just.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I think because we're close, I mean, as friends, also with the previous guitar player that Geoff had in the band. And I always like to say that all the people, all the different incarnations of the band, they really tried their best. And some of them were really great on stage. They had a great stage presence, and some other came from a slightly different style, a slightly different background, and they try to be original. So it's a part of the audience probably would fall in love with one of the guitar players for some reason, maybe because of the way he looks on stage, or probably he's playing. And so for me, I think that my role, I'm not as good as Kieran, of course, when it comes to stage presence. Kieran is a huge friend of mine, so I'm trying to paint to say good things about him, because I think that he on stage is great, is just great, probably. Yes, he's a real rock star, and he's a great musician as well. But it's just that his natural style, probably when it comes to playing, is slightly different than progressive music. Is more into some sort of a Motley Crue kind of style. So a lot of the people liked also the slight difference in the way they approached Queensrÿche songs, and they liked the stage presence as well. I believe, that with the new incarnation of the band, probably me and, for example, the other guitar player, Amaury, we are more progressive rock musicians.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why probably our rendition of Queensrÿche songs, our rendition is closer to the original, I mean, just musically. But that said, I believe that all the musicians that were in the Geoff Tate camp, even in the past, they did a great job. If I watch the videos and on YouTube and listen to Scott Maldon, Kelly Gray, Kieran and Alex, James Brown, great guitar players, absolutely. And it's just that I think that everybody tried their best. They really tried their best. And even, they did like my forte is, for example, these, and I will try to take these in jazz music. So it's I really appreciate what they did, everybody, because at the end of the day, Chris and Michael, they really wrote the songs, the classics. So it's not easy for somebody else to step in and say, okay, what am I about to do? Try to copy them, try to play like them, try to give my twist to their music. So it's not easy, and the music is so, it's just great. It's so interesting, so
right.
we need to respect that, to respect jazz music, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, like you said, I think it's probably difficult to kind of step into that because what do you make it your own? Do you just try to play it exactly as it was recorded? I mean, it's because you're gonna there's that possibility of upsetting fans and but
Exactly. Yeah.
so but at the same time, I mean, you're such a talented musician. I mean, and your sound is so rich and your tone is so wonderful. I can't imagine that anybody would be upset at all. So I mean, and you're pretty true. It's at least what I've seen. You're pretty true to the original songs.
Yeah. I think that with this last incarnation of the band, basically we are all progressive rock musicians, and we decided to say, okay, let's try to play the song uh like on the album, like the records, more or less, not for not, but we'll change bits and pieces here and there according to Jeff's taste. So if Jeff wants to have a little, a slight, a little different arrangement here or there, we change, the thing. So it's I think that we really worked hard during the rehearsals to find the right balance, between, okay, we want the song to sound, close to the original, but at the same time, we need a little bit of, small changes and difference in the arrangements. That's what we did. And we always ask Jeff, do you like it like that? Do you want to change this and that? And we work constantly, even when we do sound check, every day we work on details, so I think that we always need like something like 6 to 7 shows after rehearsals. I mean, 6 to 7 shows to have the perfect,
right
set list, and everything is really, yes, because the music is so sophisticated. So it's I think it's pretty normal.
I would imagine, you just mentioned the set list. I would imagine that's a little tricky when you have that much history, when he has so many songs, like deciding what you're going to play. I would imagine that's, I'm guessing it's Jeff's decision on kind of what's, or do you guys get input on like, hey, we should play this song, or, or does he have kind of the set list already set up?
Yeah. From time to time, me and the other guys, we try to suggest something, to say, what if we play this or that? And yes, but of course, Jeff decides the set list at the end of the day. And yes, I can say that some of the songs are mandatory. You cannot play at shows. And he said something like, oh, I don't want to play Eyes of a Stranger or Silent Lucidity, it's impossible, and I think that this is common to every band. Can you imagine Metallica not playing something like For Whom the Bell Tolls, so to speak? Or Maiden, Judas Priest, they don't play, they decide to play a show and they skip Breaking the Law. They can do that,
They'll get in trouble. They'll get in trouble. That's a good point. Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite song playing that you like to play live?
Oh yeah. as I said before, I really grew up with this music, so I love all of the songs. And uh, me and James, we like to play a lot. When we did the first leg of the tour, the song "The Right Side of My Mind" off of the Coot UK album was on the set list, and it was very interesting, and it really had some, yeah, so I would say also psychedelic kind of
Yeah.
guitar arrangements, and it was very interesting from a guitar playing standpoint to play. And me and Amuri, we really like to play NM156 because it was tricky, it was a difficult. um, yes, the solo was, absolutely interesting, and
Yeah.
but honestly, I am a huge fan of and probably this will sound strange to you and also to the fans, that I am a huge fan, especially of the Promised Land, Hidden and Now Frontier era of the band,
Oh, yeah.
because of yes, of course, the music, but the lyrics as well, because
Hmm.
when those albums been released, I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So especially the lyrics, they really had a huge impact on me, because I was growing up as a man. It was a transition time from a teenager to a man, and so Jeff's lyrics on those albums were very influential to me.
Yeah. 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 I think those are great albums. I think, and underrated. I think they're underrated albums, that era.
Yeah, I think
You know?
so. I
Yeah,
think
I
so,
agree.
especially I remember that at the time, the European press was very conservative.
Hmm.
They didn't like, experimental albums from classic bands very much. They
Yeah.
wanted the band to, keep on doing the same classic metal stuff over and over again. And Queensrÿche, they've always been very experimental. So when their sound was more progressive rock and less progressive metal, they started to say, "Oh no, the band is selling out," or whatever. But I think that was the attitude, especially of the European uh, press, and because at the time, uh, we had I mean the metal press, because at the time we had some sort of a second wave of the power progressive metal thing going on in Europe. It was,
Oh,
you
okay.
know, yeah, bands like Blind Guardian,
Yeah.
Halloween, and who else? Virgin Steel, the American band that they've
Oh, yeah.
been, yeah, they uh, at that time, I think it was somewhere in between, 1993 and 1997.
Okay.
This kind of metal, classic metal, was very popular in
Hmm.
in in Europe and very appreciated by the press. So
Okay.
of course, being Queensrÿche American, this is my idea. Probably it's wrong. They they were experimenting something that was closer to uh, alternative music, American music, and not this kind of
Right.
classic European Euro rock, we used to call it
Yeah. Yeah.
years
Euro rock.
ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Euro
Exactly.
rock.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. And that was such a strange time musically. The 90s were, yeah, especially, yeah, the mid to late 90s. That was an interesting time, especially for, metal bands,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that
exactly.
were doing something different, like Queensryche. And I really enjoyed their music about, yeah, Promised Land and Tribe. And yeah, I thought they were doing lots of really interesting things. And yeah, they kind of took a beating here too, I think, in the press. But I think
Yeah,
I think Jeff was writing some really interesting stuff at that time. And you
absolutely.
said, yeah,
Yes,
lyrically,
absolutely.
just, yeah, really fascinating lyrics.
Wow. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah, very
Absolutely.
poetic and thoughtful. And I mean, he always has done that. So I think, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course. Yeah, yeah. They were always be labeled as the thinking man metals band.
mm,
Do you remember?
yeah, like Rush. Yeah, like
Yeah, yeah, like Rush and Blue Oyster Cult or whatever.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's a good point. Um, So speaking of that time, let's go back to that time that because that's when you so you joined Headless in
yeah,
96. So that would have been
Yeah,
kind of that formative time for you. And I know
yeah,
you went to and I apologize if I mispronounced this. I know you went to music school, right? And
yeah,
so music, what was it? Entho musicology? Is that what you studied?
yeah. That was yes, some sort of an approach to studying music in a certain way. Some I think that it's yeah, some sort of an anthropological way of analyzing history of music, and yeah, something like that. Probably that's the
Interesting.
best way to explain it. Yeah, yeah. It's
Right.
been very helpful for me when I started to sit down and analyzing and practicing a specific guitar player, applying some techniques that we use on that discipline to, modern guitar playing.
Okay.
Because, yeah, basically, especially when you play music that has not been written, like
Okay.
scores, I mean,
Yeah.
but it has been played, and so trying to understand what is the language of the guitar player, and also simply the technique,
Okay.
observing the way he holds the pick and what fingering he uses and whatever. It's very important. That was a discipline that was used a lot for um, folk music, and
Mm.
also for blues and jazz music at the beginning of the last century.
Yeah.
So while I was studying electric rock guitar, I tried to use that approach for rock and metal guitar.
Interesting. Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, and I think that's why you have a very distinct style. Um,
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I hope so. It was, you know what I mean? I think that for me, it worked very well because probably, if you're like Jimi Hendrix or or Jeff Beck, probably you don't need to do that. They're so talented. They just pick the guitar, decide to play, and they go. You know.
right. Yeah.
For me, I needed to practice to sit down and trying to understand everything about music, and that approach helped me a lot. But
Nice.
yeah, I think that it worked for me, and probably will work from some of my students if they want to follow my approach. But for other people, they don't need to do the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 And you mentioned yeah. So for people, you're a teacher as well. You're a guitar instructor.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah. Very cool. Yeah. How long have you been doing
yeah.
that?
I started around 1999,
Oh,
2000,
okay.
because while I was playing with Headless, I started on classical guitar uh, around 87, and then I started playing electric guitar as well. And at some point, I wanted to have the same uh, academic approach of classical guitar to the electric guitar, and
Okay.
so I started to transcribe a lot of music and collecting books, and I started to do corrections on books, and that became basically, yeah, the bulk of my um, um, of the thing that I practiced when I was a kid.
Okay.
So, for example, at the time when I started playing the music of my musical idols, trying to emulate them, it wasn't done by ear, but it was uh, by following a score.
Oh, okay.
So at the time, if I started playing Hendrix or Jerry Garcia, I, studied a score and I listened carefully to their music, and as a starting point, I use a transcription that already existed and started to do corrections even there. So it was a very long
Hmm.
process, but it was very um, formative for me. It
Yeah.
worked very well for me. So
Right. Very academic. Sounds like, yeah.
yeah.
Academic
That was
approach.
my yeah. So
Yeah.
then I started to give lessons around 99. I was still uh, in taking lessons from different teachers in different schools in Italy, but at the same time I started, giving lessons. as a job, and yeah, that's it. So I think I remember that it was around 1999 that I started to give the first lessons. Yeah.
Wow, 25 years. That's cool. You've been teaching for 25 years. That's amazing. That's
yeah. I
really
still
cool.
like to do it. I still love it. Because I think that you learn a lot by teaching.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
And
Yeah. I would imagine.
it's great. And
Yeah. How did you
some of my students in Italy, some are very good. Some of them, they became professional musicians as well.
Oh,
So
nice.
that, yeah, that's great. It's a great accomplishment for me, to
Yeah.
see other people. Oh wow, he started with me and now he's playing gigs and he's giving lessons and he's playing with a pop artist, doing
Yeah.
tours in Italy. And so it's great. Yeah,
Yeah, that's gotta be a great feeling. Yeah, especially when
yeah,
somebody becomes a professional musician, it's like,
yeah,
I did
yeah.
that.
It is.
That's cool. That's really cool. Did you like, yeah, tell me about your start with, did you come from a musical family? Like what got you into guitar playing
Yeah,
initially?
not very much.
Yeah.
So my father was engineer and doctor in engineering, so he's always been like more into science. And he told me that when he was very young, he tried to play piano, took some lessons, but it wasn't something for him. It wasn't his passion. And my mother, no, she liked music, but yeah, it's just, no. The only figure in my family who was very influential was an uncle of mine,
Hmm.
because I remember that when I was a kid, I used to go to my cousin house playing with this cousin of mine who was, like 2 years older than me. And I was so fascinated that his father, so my uncle, after lunch, sat down with the guitar, playing and singing with the family members. And I said, "Oh, I like this. I like a lot, that they could." So we started to uh, take it as a game, with my older brother and my cousin. We started to say, okay, now that my uncle is not around because he's going to 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 do the second part of the day, I mean his job, we can grab the guitar without telling him, and you can go to the piano, and this other guy will use the flute, and we start to. I remember that for like 15 to 20 days, we started to do this as a game, to create a band and write music. We didn't know how to write or read music, but we found a system to do it, like using colors on a piece of paper.
Oh,
And so we
interesting.
decided to do, okay, I will do this and you will do this. But for me, that was like the ultimate game. I said, this
Yeah.
is what I want to do for. And my brother and my cousin, they said, okay, no, now we're tired. We did this game for 15 days. Now we want to do something else.
Yeah.
But for me, that was, the final goal. You know what I mean? I wanted to do that. And so after a while, as I think that I was like 9 years old, I asked my parents that I wanted to learn how to play an instrument, and that's it. I started to take classical guitar lessons, and
Nice.
but before that, I think it was around 85. I already was listening to the pop music of the time, yeah.
Okay.
So I was a lot into Duran Duran, Spandau Ballet. The music of the 80s.
Yeah.
Dire Straits were popular at the time. Sting and whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
All the
Nice.
music of the time that was in jukeboxes, and and then a cousin of mine, he was into metal. He passed me some tapes and passed me Maiden, Metallica, and once he passed me a Minecraft cassette.
Oh,
That's
cool.
how I fell in love with jazz music. Yeah.
Nice. That's great. Were there, I mean, obviously Queensryche, but were there specific guitar players that were like really kind of really floored you, really influential for you?
Yeah, I think that uh, we got to go back to the thing that we were exploring before during the interview. I mean, when I started transcribing, applying some of the principles of ethnomusicology to my playing, I did it especially for something like 11 to 12 guitar players.
Hmm.
So, like people like Pete Townsend and
Oh, cool.
George Harrison and yes, the Beatles and uh, Jimi Hendrix, Rory Gallagher, and well, Jimmy Page, and a lot of the players of the 70s, especially progressive masters like Steve Hackett, Robert Fripp, Steve Howe,
Yeah.
all those guys, they've been heavily influential, because when I started playing, I was a lot into uh, metal, because when I started playing guitar around 87, metal was huge.
Yeah.
So that was during those years, it was my main influence. But then during the 90s and growing up as a musician, I really wanted to go back. So I started to be uh, I started to be influenced a lot by the music of the 60s and the 70s as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Nice.
Yeah, so psychedelic American music and also British progressive rock music.
Very cool.
And when it comes to metal, a lot of people like Glenn Tipton and the guys from Queensryche, and of course, there's a lot of great musicians and great players, but probably those are the main influence. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Very cool. So just tell me, I mean, I'm curious tell me a little bit about how Headless came together, back in 96. How did you join the band? How did that all happen?
Yeah. So basically, before us, there was a in my small town, because it's very small part of the world. It's a provincial town, very close to Rome. But at that time, I think that before us, I remember only one metal band. The name of the band was Stone Crime. They were older than us, and yes, I'm still friends with some of the guys in the band. Unfortunately, some of them passed away, but
Oh, that's right.
I'm friend with the other guys of the band, and so the generation before us, that was the metal band, and then during the 90s, basically was Headless, and my band in my hometown, and me and the guitar and the keyboard player from my band, we joined Headless.
Oh, okay.
So that's the way I've been asked by the guys in Headless, in the first incarnation of the band, to join the band. And so we did a couple of albums during the 90s, and we released a couple of albums and started touring and playing some, not touring, but playing some gigs in Italy. And at some point, the other guitar player in the band, he found out, he said something like, "Oh, I think that we need to practice more. We need to be better musician before going ahead." And so basically, yes, we decided that we needed years and years to practice before making a new album. And that basically what happened. Around 2011, we were already professional musicians.
Yeah.
And we decided to give it a shot once again. So
Okay.
we basically did the comeback album, and we wanted to have top-notch musicians around us. So basically, we built the songs on the comeback album using some Scott Rockenfield's drumming with
Oh,
his permission, and then we released, and then we hired Joran Edman, former Yngwie Malmsteen vocalist, as a vocalist for the band. And
yeah.
yes, and the album was it was still a time where you could sell CDs, and so yes, we because it was our comeback album, but at the end of the day, it was this strange involvement from Scott and um, and Joran. Not very much Scott. We use his drumming with his permission to build the songs, but Joran was, the vocalist of the band.
Right.
And so, yes, it sold well. And the record label at the time asked us, "Do you want to tour Europe, or do you want to take the money?" We said, No, we want to do Europe. So by doing this, basically, we a lot of doors started to open in front of us, because we started to know promoters, other bands, and different artists. And after 2 albums, we we've been offered to play with Geoff as well. To cut the story short. So that's it worked for us. We did a little investment. We needed 2 albums and 2 Euro tours, and then we started to see results.
Yeah, and you guys did some big. You guys toured with some pretty big bands, like Skid Row,
Yeah, we did.
Dead Daisies, and Queensryche, and that's cool. That's really cool.
And we friends with the majority of them, especially the Fates Warning guys, and
Fates Warning,
we played with Angra in Paris. I remember it was.
Oh wow.
Yeah. We did. Yes, and especially I remember that we opened for Don Airey, the keyboard player for Deep Purple, and it was very. We played a show, and it was listen carefully to our music, and then he wanted us to join him backstage after each show. We were opening for him, so he said, after the show, come backstage because I want to have a conversation with you. And he told us, oh yeah, it takes time. He told us something very interesting. He said something like, keep going. I know that it's hard, but you have to keep going and continue, go ahead. And after a while, you will find some results. It's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
So basically he said, if you try a couple of times and then you decided to leave, it's done. But if you keep on going, you will do something. And that's been a very good advice, I think.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great compliment too, because he obviously recognized the talent in the band. He recognized your talent, so he, especially to come backstage and talk to me. You guys are really good. You should keep going. That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I remember that it was also, at least for me, not for the other guys of the band, it wasn't one of my best nights. I remember that. And then, but anyway, he was impressed. I don't know why. It was, probably like some of the songs. I'm not talking about the way we played live that night, but maybe like some of the songs, and that's what he said. You have to keep going. I think it's a good band, and but I remember that he also said, it's gonna be very hard.
Yeah. I'm sure.
True.
I mean, I'm not a musician, but I'm sure it's not an easy game. It can't be, especially now. It can't be an easy game.
Especially now. So I think for newcomers, it's like it's really like win at the lottery.
Right.
It's so difficult. You really cannot. Because I think that it's very difficult to. There's no rule. I mean, when it comes to try to understand, or at least it's something that I cannot do because I'm a musician. I am a musician and not a producer. To understand when or if the taste of the public will meet your musical ideas. It's like this is the public and this is your music. And well, what I mean.
You're right. Yeah. Where do they converge?
Where they come. Exactly. So it's something that it really doesn't have very much to do with the musician. You just need to write and perform, but you cannot really envision that other aspect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I think the Headless stuff you've done has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed it a lot. I thought Square One was a great album. The last
Yeah,
you
I'm
guys put out.
still really proud of what we did.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
really cool. That's really
Some songs and are great also from the other releases. I mean, and
yeah.
yes, I think that that was a great uh, was a great mix because you know, there's a little bit of the Queensrÿche influence of the
Mm,
classic Queensrÿche sound influence, but the vocalist is totally different. He's more bluesy,
yeah.
and of course he has not been influenced by Geoff because they share the same age. So basically, they share the same influences as
Oh,
vocalists,
right.
but they have
Yeah.
a totally different style.
Yeah.
Geoff is more operatic, and Joran is more bluesy, and I think that the rest of the songwriting, you know, there's me and the other guys, the other, especially the other guitar player, he had a more kind of hard rock and bluesy approach, and my approach was more progressive. So we played together for many years, and so we found at some point the right balance between the two styles, and
Yeah.
especially on some of the songs, it worked well. So
Yeah. I
yeah,
think it's a
that
really good,
kind of
yeah, it's a really good marriage of sound. I think it really
yeah.
fits really, and it's interesting, I think, because it's very original, but then yeah, there are elements that harken back to like, yeah, like 70s progressive rock,
Yeah,
and you know, the big arena rock, American arena rock. One,
yeah. That's
yeah, which is great. I love it. One band that, and you guys don't sound exactly like them, but I hear, and maybe I'm wrong, but I hear like Styx. I hear like the band
oh yeah,
Styx when I listen to your
yeah,
music, just a little bit. Like there's elements of,
yeah.
yeah, which I think
Yeah,
is really
the
cool.
drummer for Headless, Enrique, is a huge fan of Sticks. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I wondered if there
Okay.
was some, yeah, because yeah, like you guys have your own sound, but there's certain passages in songs where I'm like, oh, that kind of sounds like Styx a little bit. And
Yeah. It
in the
makes
harmonies
sense, you know,
too.
because yeah, it makes sense because sometimes you know they sometimes we have this kind of we started with a riff, hard rock, typical hard rock, 80s sounding arena rock, as you said, riff, and then I try to overdub. I mean, on the riff,
Oh, okay.
arpeggios or arrangements that were more into, you know, like Genesis kind of stuff, you know, to
Oh,
have a
yeah.
more complex harmony. So it makes sense because Sticks, they have that kind of quality in
Yeah.
their arrangements. So it's a great compliment anyway. Thank you.
Yeah. And then that's it. I was gonna ask about, yeah, if there was a little Genesis in there. Yeah, because yeah, Steve Hackett. There's yeah, that early Steve Hackett kind of guitar work.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. That's
yeah,
really cool. Yeah,
yeah.
great stuff. You guys, yeah, really cool
Thank
stuff.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you
really
so much.
interesting band. Yeah. I've been digging it. Um, I wanted to ask you too about, and I know uh you were a guest musician on the album, but I've got a copy of it right here, um
Oh yeah, wow.
Sweet
Yeah, Sweet
Oblivion.
Oblivion. Yeah.
And you did guest guitar work on I think the song's Aria, is that the name? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Um
Correct.
and it's funny
Correct.
because I before this interview was set up, before I even knew your name, when I bought this album, you know, because I've always been a big Geoff Tate, Queensryche fan. So I bought this
Yeah.
album because of him, and that was the song that really I gravitated towards the most. Like the whole album's fantastic, but that was the song I gravitated towards the most. And then when I got the interview with you, I'm like, oh shit, it's Dario. He's the guitar player on that song. Like this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I love and the lyrics are in Italian too. And yeah.
Yeah.
Does Geoff speak Italian? I mean, is he
Not very
fluent?
much.
Okay, did you
No,
have
not
to?
very much
Okay.
because Aldo and the other guy is involved with the project. They're all Italian.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean,
Yeah,
Sweet
right.
Oblivion is an Italian project.
Yeah, that's right.
So yes, the songwriters, they started to say, "Oh, it would be nice to have Geoff singing in Italian," and so yes, so they wrote this song, and and of course they said, okay, we'd like to have your two Italian guitar players doing a cameo on the
Wow.
songs. So we played basically the solos on the songs, and but it's nice. Yes, a lot of people, even when we, yes, especially I must say when we toured the States, a lot of people, they show up at the meet and greet and they have a copy of the album and say, oh, can you sign this? It's nice. It's a great project, and I think that they're working on a number 3.
Oh, nice.
So yes, there would be a Sweet Oblivion number 3 as well in the future. Yeah.
Nice. Will you be involved with that at all? Do you?
Oh yeah, maybe the same thing.
Okay.
Probably I can, guest on. I would be a guest on one of the songs. Yeah, because I'm friend with all the guys in the band, or even if they live in the north of Italy and more, like central Italy or south. But I met them multiple times, and it's just that it's if they're going to, like, for example, mixing the album and everything is ready, and I'm touring with Geoff, and I don't have a studio, while touring with Geoff, I cannot do it,
Yeah.
So, but yes, I think that probably I can be a guest on one of the songs also for number 3. It's just that I already know that starting from September and for all the rest of 2025, I will be very, very busy. So, if I'm playing a shows like somewhere in Texas, and I cannot, cut the solo, or probably it's too difficult. And so, but, never say never. Probably I will be on the album as well. I'd really like to be on the album.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's great music. It's really cool stuff. Yeah, and I loved your guitar work on there. That was really cool. So,
Thank you.
obviously, lots of shows coming up over the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else is on the horizon for you? What else do you have going on?
Oh yes, of course. I know that we are going to tour the States again, and that we are going to do other trips with Geoff as well. And Geoff has a lot of material, so there's no release date yet. But at the same time, there's a lot of. I can tell you that we have a lot of material with Geoff as well.
Very cool.
So yeah. So he's ready to go ahead with a metal project, with a solo project, with
Nice.
I cannot say more than this, but a different project. He has a lot of songs, and the last time I was driving in Seattle with him in his car, and he put on some of the stuff that he was working on in his own studio, and I was like, wow, Geoff, sounds great. And it wasn't just that it was so interesting musically, but the way, I don't know, the way he produced his voice and this new stuff was just like, wow, the sound of his voice. Of course, it's fucking Geoff Tate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know if he changed something and he wanted to have probably a different mic or whatever, but the sound of the voice was like, my gosh, it was really wow. Yeah. I was blown away. I was like, someone dropped a bomb. Wow.
Very cool. Oh, I can't wait. I'm excited. That's what I was hoping you would tell me, is that there is a project in the works.
Yeah. Yes, a lot of it's cool because from what I heard, it's like different project and different styles, you know what I mean? So yes, there would be of course a progressive metal album, but he's also working on some solo stuff, probably more progressive rock, and then he's working on a special project, and then there is a Sweet Oblivion, album in the making. So yes, we're super busy, and he really liked to travel and to play shows, so we will play lots of shows as well.
Nice. Very cool. Oh, that's fantastic news. I'm excited. That's very exciting. Well, hopefully you'll be coming to my neck of the woods so I can see you and hopefully meet you in person someday.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
That would be
Can't
great.
wait. Me too. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
So Dario, Thank you so very much for chatting with me today. This has been an absolute pleasure. For those of you watching, if you look in the links below, you can check out Dario's YouTube page. And also, yeah, if you want to get lessons from Dario, check out below.
In my downtime, of course.
Yeah,
So.
in your dad whenever that is. And
Yeah.
then also there's also a link to Geoff Tate's page with all things Geoff Tate, and there's a great bio about Dario there as well. So Dario, thank you again. This has been fantastic chatting with you, my friend. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it, and can't wait to meet you in person, as you said before.
Yeah. Cheers, my friend. Cheers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Rock on.
Yeah, rock on for sure.